Welcome to IAG Live, and no, you're not imagining things. It's Ben here, of course. No Andrew at the moment. Andrew will be joining us very shortly. A bit delayed this morning on his way to the airport in Melbourne. Andrew is on his way to San Diego, but he will be joining us from the airport very shortly. Well, in the meantime, you're stuck with me. I'm sitting here in Sydney with my lovely fish background that you always see each week. And as usual, we will take a look at the biggest stories and the most interesting stories from the past week. But before we do, I should, as Andrew always does, bring in our intrepid studio producer, Oscar Guiaro. Oscar, come in.
Hello.
There you are. There you go. In the office, how's Macau treating you at the moment, Oscar?
So good. The weather is getting a bit warmer, but it's fantastic. Yeah, it's much better than in summer. Enjoying it.
Very good. Well, the weather's just getting a little bit colder in Sydney at the moment. So we're just, we had a pretty good storm last night. I think we've got some more coming today as well. So, I guess by the time I get to Macau in May for G2E, it'll be quite warm, I think.
Yeah, probably. Today, actually, it's quite a little bit fresher than yesterday, but you know how it's Macau. One day fresher, the next day sweating. But
yes,
great.
It can change for sure.
Mm.
All right. Well, look, while we wait for Andrew to come and join us, we might get started on the stories. So, Oscar, I'll let you head off back into the background and we'll bring up the first story of the week.
Go for it.
All right. Well, as I said, a busy week. Actually, this is a story that came out late last week, actually last Friday. Las Vegas Sands released information that they had basically given the Marina Bay Sands expansion to their contractor. They've chosen local developer Wohut Private Limited. And this is interesting. I mean, really, this is basically just letting us know that the project is achieving certain milestones. They've chosen their contractor developer because they broke ground middle of last year. So the process is starting ahead of 2030, 2031 targeted completion and opening for Marina Bay Sands. Of course, this is a massive $8 billion expansion project, just unbelievable. But of course, Marina Bay Sands is, has been the most profitable casino in the world for a long time. I think they posted EBITDA of 800 million in the last quarter, which is a phenomenal amount. Well and truly on target for $3 billion US in EBITDA for the year, for each year. With the expansion, that could be 4 billion, 4.5 billion. So quite phenomenal. One of the really interesting things that came out of this story actually was that Marina Bay Sands, based on a recent research paper, was estimated to have generated 1.2% of Singapore's GDP. Quite a phenomenal performance. I mean, Marina Bay Sands just keeps breaking records. A wonderful property. I'm sure many watching this have been there and experienced Marina Bay Sands. For those that haven't, if you ever go to Singapore, it really is a must-see. It's one of the iconic buildings of the world. And just powering along. So looking forward to what this $8 billion expansion project adds to the existing infrastructure there. All right, Oscar, let's move on to the next one. Yeah, so Star Entertainment Group, of course, late last year was a majority stake was acquired by Bally's Corp in conjunction with local pub baron Bruce Matheson's Investment Holdings Proprietary Limited. So they've taken control of the company and in the process is underway to bring Star, first of all, back into profitability would be step one, and then start to grow from there. Of course, they need to get their license back. But one of the things they've been actively doing already apart from making significant changes to the corporate structure, is bring in some new executive leadership. And they announced this week that Charlie Diao, who I believe is SVP of Finance for Bally's in the US, coming in to oversee Star's finances as CFO. One of a number of Bally's executives that, of course, Sue Kim, the Bally's chairman and the Star chairman, has brought in already. I see Andrew is joining us here. You made it, Andrew.
I have. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yes, I've made it after a very stressful ride to the airport, and I'm very sorry, everybody. I know we had this scheduled for 9 a.m. Macau time as opposed to the normal 10, but my Uber driver decided to take the totally wrong way to Melbourne Airport, since he didn't know the roads of Melbourne like all Uber drivers don't. So anyway, I'm here. That's the main thing. So we'll carry on.
Yeah, Andrew, we're just talking about Star, of course, bringing in another Bally's executive. Obviously, Sue Kim is bringing in people that he knows and trusts to get the job done. And we're seeing quite a few changes at the moment at the company.
Yes, and he actually, though, did mention to me that he's very keen to promote local talent, and if he finds the right people in-house, very, very happy to do that. But of course, it'll be a mix. It'll be a mix of people promoted from within and people that he brings in. And he equally said that if there are people that are not aligned with their new vision, then those people will probably go by the wayside. And of course, Bruce Matheson Jr. as CEO will be making a lot of these decisions on the ground. I would imagine. I don't really know yet, but I would imagine that he might. And hopefully I get a chance to catch up with him in August during AGE when I'm there with you in Sydney, AGE.
Well, I can let you know too that the process of cutting down the corporate staff, I think they're getting rid of around 450 from their 600 strong corporate office and streamlining across the business as well. Well, I've been contacted by a lot of people I know at Star who have been let go over the past week, so that process has already started. I know at least 6 or 7 people, and I saw a few LinkedIn people letting the world know that they're moving on. So that process is obviously well underway, wasting no time. They don't really have much time to waste, do they, at Star? They can't keep bleeding money.
No, I mean they were down to running on fumes before the 300 million went in, and obviously they're refinancing at the moment as well. So trying to get a bit of cash, but it's not going to be billions. It's going to be hundreds of millions or a few hundred million. So they haven't got time to waste. They've got to get the costs down, and they've got to get the revenue up. So good luck to them.
Yep, that's right. Well, Oscar, let's move on.
Thanks for covering for me, Ben. As I was rushing through the airport to get here to the lounge, I'm sitting right next to the coffee bar, which is why I actually managed to get a coffee. I just yelled at the guy, "Quick, make me a coffee!" And as I sat down, so don't judge by the drinking of the coffee that I've been lounging around here. I've literally been sat down for about 20 seconds before I jumped on. Surprise dividend from Wynn Macau.
Yeah, I mean, last week we spoke about the fact that MGM China, which has been performing brilliantly in Macau, I don't think it underwhelmed in terms of its dividend. It basically paid out exactly what it promised, but some of the analysts thought they may even exceed that. Well, in Wynn's case, they have a different dividend policy, but the analysts sort of said, well, look, Wynn's probably issued a dividend a little bit higher than we expected, which is great for shareholders. I think Wynn had a bit of a tricky year. They had a bit of an unlucky year, actually. So I think the results, they played a little bit unlucky. But other than that, like all of Macau's concessionaires, I think the underlying strength of the company is pretty good at the moment. Like Macau is, everybody in Macau has had a pretty good 2025 in real terms. And I think we're seeing the results of that here.
Yeah, Wynn Macau just continues to move on. I mean, they run that place with a very lean management team, and intentionally so, as they do for Wynn Resorts too, as well. So I've been spending a bit of time with the guys at Wynn Resorts when I was in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I should say now. Spent some time with their senior management there, talking about their plans for the future, Ras Al Khaimah, even London, Wynn Mayfair, and also changes to sort of the Wynn way, the old Wynn versus the new Wynn, kind of like their Wynn WDD, Wynn Development and Design, it's kind of a new wave within WDD on the way that they make their spaces a lot darker, a lot more dark wood paneling, heavy velvet curtains, big oversized tassels, English club kind of feel, as opposed to the old Wynn, which was under Steve Wynn, which was sort of bright red light, lots of light, the red carpet with the flowers, lots and lots of bright flowers. So they're undergoing a sort of subtle change in the way they present themselves to the world. A lot more tech savvy, a lot more social media savvy. They're adopting the social media ways. So when under Craig Billings, just trying to move forward into the 21st century, I guess, and good luck to them too.
Of course, they may be the only major IR company that has their own expansive in-house design team. So everything is done in-house. They don't bring in external design teams to put together their properties. So it's very much about understanding the Wynn way and doing that all internally.
I think there's a couple of others that have that, but they work more closely with external contractors. Wynn tends to do it all themselves. They have a very sort of Wynn way of doing things. And you've got people like Chris Gordon from the old school, and then the new guy whose name just escapes me right now, the new guy in charge of WDD. So, yeah, no, very, very much so. All right, let's jump on to the next one, Oscar. Borat.
Very nice. Very nice. Of course, I don't know a lot about Kazakhstan, Andrew. I mean, you've probably been there. You're quite well travelled. But I just thought this was quite an interesting story. Kazakhstan just fits into our coverage zone at IAG, so certainly important to cover. But expanding to 4 new gambling zones. Kazakhstan does have locals gambling, but interestingly, these 4 new zones will be set aside for foreigner only. So the idea of obviously is to boost tourism to Kazakhstan.
Yeah, look, Kazakhstan, actually, I haven't been to Kazakhstan. It's been on the to-do list for a long time. There's all those, I think there's 7 of those Stan countries, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan. There's a few others, I can't think of them, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, and I've missed one. Yeah, there's one kind of small one. Anyway, generally they don't have casino gambling because they tend to be Muslim majority countries. But Kazakhstan's had gambling for a long time, actually, casino gambling for a long time. But it's quite sort of isolated. The whole Borat thing is quite interesting. At first they were really angry at him, at Sacha Baron Cohen, for doing what he did and sort of claiming he was from Kazakhstan and that stuff about the village he was from and so forth. But then later on they embraced it. Later on, the Kazakhstan Tourism Board said, you know what? Lots of people are talking to us about mentioning our name because of this, and they actually had an advertising campaign where they would have like beautiful views of Kazakhstan. It was very nice, written across. So it was quite good that they do that. Look, I think Kazakhstan, from what I've heard, actually, I was talking to a guy the other day who did some aid work in Afghanistan, and he said on their breaks, when they would get sort of respite breaks, because obviously working in Afghanistan is tough, they would go to Kazakhstan as a place to go for sort of R&R. And he said it was actually really nice. So I'm keen to get there at some point. We've got a few contacts there. Be interesting to see. I mean, I wonder, I don't know, and probably I should know. Don't know what their GGR is. Maybe we write that down and try and tell everyone next week what the GGR. Let's try and find out what the GGR of Kazakhstan is, how many casinos they are, and do a bit of a profile on it. But to have these new zones coming is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, very. I look forward to visiting one day, Andrew. Who knows? We might have a Galaxy Kazakhstan one day, or who knows what will pop up there.
I'm not sure Francis, when he's lying awake at night thinking of where he'd like to expand Galaxy to. I don't think Kazakhstan is the first country that comes to mind, but who knows? Who knows? But it is good. It's good. And we, of course, we cover 67 countries and jurisdictions. I better say jurisdictions, because what's the definition of a country, right? That's up for some debate. But we cover 67 sort of countries or territories, that sort of thing, in IAG, from the Middle East to the international date line. And then, of course, CDC picks up from the international date line to the mid-Atlantic. CDC covers Canada, the US, which of course is North America, with Mexico as well, and then Central and Southern America, the Caribbean, or the Caribbean if you prefer, LATAM, all of that. So we cover quite a bit of the world. Really, the only bits that we don't cover between the two companies is Europe and Africa. So let's keep an eye on Kazakhstan, see if we can find an excuse for me to hop on a plane and get there at some point.
All right, next one, Oscar. There we go. Well, again, we're sort of stretching out to the boundaries of our coverage area here, Andrew.
Georgia is right on the edge of our coverage area. Yep.
You know, when I was writing this story, I actually looked at our coverage map and I was just checking, and Georgia is just on the inside of our coverage area. Again, I think this is just a bit of an interest story, really, that the Planet Hollywood brand is involved in an integrated resort development there in Georgia. And look, the IR concept isn't everywhere in the world, but looks like it'd be interesting to see what they come up with there. And it looks quite expansive too.
Yeah, look, Georgia, to be honest, probably feels more European than Asian, although technically it is on the Asian continent, the border being the Caucasus, the mountains there. It'd be great to see what Planet Hollywood does. And it's another place I haven't been to. I haven't been to Tbilisi. I've had a few chances to go and it hasn't materialized. So it's definitely on the list and been invited to go there a couple of times by different IR companies. So very, very keen to go. And perhaps when I'm in Vegas week after next, I could meet with Planet Hollywood people, if there are any in Vegas anymore. Because remember, they had the property in Vegas and then they didn't. Or they still have it. Maybe they still have the one on the Strip. I should know that. I'll go and find out and see if I can talk to some. I'll make a note of that. Make a note to see if I can find some Planet Hollywood people in Vegas to talk to about Tbilisi. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, Macau visitor arrivals moved past 10 million already in 2026, 12 days faster than last year.
It's pumping, isn't it? Isn't it pumping?
Well, we set an all-time single-day record in February during the Chinese New Year holiday. The 10 million figure is 12 days faster than last year. Of course, last year we set an all-time record for visitor arrivals of 40.06 million. So certainly Macau is having no trouble attracting people, Andrew. I mean, they're flooding in at the moment. But again, as we always talk about, it's demand and supply are two different things.
Well, if it's 12 days faster, hit the first 10 million and we're going to get around 40 million, 24 days faster, 36 days faster, 48 days faster. 48 days is a month and a half. So 12 on 10 and a half, whatever that is, it's probably add 1.5, 15, roughly 15%. So 40 million plus 15%, 46 million. Could we get 46 million this year? Wow! Imagine we do. That would be the most ever by far. I'm sure. Was it a record last year? I think it was, yes. Right? It was a record. Yeah. Obviously, the GGR per person must be going down because GGR is no longer going up at 15%, but we think it might go up maybe 8 to 10% this year. We've been sort of talking about. The analysts estimate less than that. But isn't that interesting? And one's stopping it.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote an article this week, Andrew. I can't recall if it's on our list to look at today, but GGR in February went down 20% per day, per person in February. So again, that was to do with the considerably more higher numbers. Yeah, but less of them gambling.
The flag followers are back.
Yes, they're hard to miss.
Yeah. Okay. Next. Oscar? Yeah, I'll do this one. Stanford Lee stepping down as CEO of Crown Sydney for personal reasons. I put this in because Stanford's a really, really nice guy, and he did a great job at Sydney in the short period of time he was there. And often we do these stories, people stand down for personal reasons, or for future opportunities. That's often code for they were fired. Well, it certainly wasn't in this case, and I happen to know that these are genuine reasons. So, we wish Stanford all the best. He's back to the US, and it's great to see what Crown have done now with Brian Pereira in Perth, Stanford in Sydney, and now they've got a new one in Melbourne, don't they? It was Mike Volkert, and he's left, and now it's Ed. Of course, it's Ed. I've just gone blank. What's Ed's last name?
Ed Domingo.
Ed Domingo. That's right, Ed Domingo. obviously a Filipino extraction. Remember Andrea Domingo, the former head of PayCorp before Chairman Tenko. So they've all done a great job. So I think the CFO has stepped up for now to be acting CEO of Crown Sydney, and the search begins for a new CEO of Crown Sydney. David Tsai will have to sign off on that, and Blackstone will have to sign off on that. No, we wish them well, and we wish Stanford well back in the US as well. That's the only reason I put it in there. So I just wanted to make the point that don't misinterpret this as it wasn't really personal reasons, because it was. All right, well, let's go to the next one, Oscar. Well, really, the only reason I just put this one, and we could probably skim over this one, was exactly what we were talking about before. The average bet's gone down, but the premium mass is going up. So that premium mass is the real sector that's driving all this revenue, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, each month Citigroup go in and do their Macau table survey. They visit all the premium mass rooms. They obviously have a process of calculating number of players, wager per player, all that sort of thing, and then they publish a note on that. So, this has been the trend over the past 12 months or so from these surveys, is that we are seeing this premium mass segment surge. We're seeing sometimes more players, sometimes less players, but certainly the average bet per player has been generally rising. And just highlighting the strength of this segment, it's really been powering along. It's been what's driven Macau since May last year.
So the dynamic is more bodies in the town, smaller proportion of them are players. Doesn't mean less players, it might just be more bodies, and average bet's actually rising. So the players are betting more, but the non-players compared to the players is becoming a higher percentage, which is in line with what Macau wants, right?
Yeah,
it's in line with driving non-gaming, right?
Yeah, they want to drive general tourism, don't they? So they're getting that. Now they just need to figure out where to put them in the future.
And if any of our viewers are interested in learning more about non-gaming and learning more about genuinely what's going on, particularly in Macau as the industry leader in Asia, go to newmacau.com, our brand New Macau. The URL is actually new-mac.com, new-mac.com. But you just Google New Macau publication, I guess. It would probably be the first hit. And that's pink and blue colours. And we cover there, what's going on in non-gaming in Macau. We do, I think at the moment, about 6 stories a week. That could be expanding soon. And that's very, very interesting. There's a lot in there about restaurants and entertainment and more than just non-gaming offerings, more also about diversification efforts and training of staff and new ways of doing things, community tourism, maritime tourism, which I'm very skeptical about, but Macau is surrounded by water, I guess, and responsible gaming and all of that sort of stuff. So quite good to go and check out New Macau. There's some really good stuff in there. So I think as gaming professionals, sometimes we get quite tied up in the casino floor and action. Of course, that is the economic engine of the casinos, but they're not casinos. They're integrated resorts now with wide offerings. And we're seeing that it is a real phenomenon in the world that players are not interested in going to, just generally are not interested in going into casinos that don't have wider offerings. Where did I read that in IAG recently? There was a story about that recently, about players abandoning non-IR type gaming and flocking towards IR type gaming. I can't remember what the story was.
Yeah, I mean, I can't recall exactly. I've written so much, but certainly this push towards experiential style of visitation and tourism is that's a global phenomenon, and we're seeing it. I mean, I think a couple of years ago we were pretty skeptical about that in Macau even, but I think we are starting to see the benefits of what the government is pushing for. There's no doubt that a positive move in that direction.
I think what they want and what is possible, there's still a big gap, right? But it's it's good. It's good, this non-gaming stuff. It's really good. It drives play. It drives. Look at particularly the concerts. They're the one that are but I'm sure other sectors of the experience, sort of the experience of the IR experience, the vacation, fun experience of coming to an IR. I'm sure other elements away from concerts will emerge over time. At the moment, concerts is the real hot one. Maybe sport a little bit to a certain extent. Yeah, but I'm sure it'll come. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. And while you do that, I'm just going to check how my flight's going. So you just run things there for Ben for a second, if you don't mind.
All right. Well, this was a pretty interesting story that came out early this week about Taiwan authorities making a credit card money laundering ring said to have funneled around $1 billion US through Macau's casinos. So quite extensive. This was an investigation conducted by authorities over a period of time. It unveiled this scheme where money was being loaded onto credit cards in Taiwan, taken to Macau. The whole point of putting this money was to boost the limits of the credit cards. They were using that then to access chips in Macau casinos. They weren't really gambling them. They were just going in, collecting them. Basically a pretty standard and well-known form of money laundering through casinos and other gambling places, and using that as a means of laundering money. And looks like it was fairly successful for a while too.
Looks like it was pretty garden variety money laundering, but huge scale. I think it was billions. Oh, there you go. It's in the title. US $1 billion funneled through. So, of course, that's volume. So I don't know how much was actually cleaned up, but just a sort of cautionary tale that we need to be careful to make sure that our industry is not facilitating these guys, because it can happen to the best IR in the world without them even knowing. And we have to be vigilant, as we've learned in Australia. We have to be vigilant to make sure this sort of thing isn't happening, to keep the reputation of our industry clean.
Yeah,
and I think that's important.
We're seeing
Sorry,
this sort of activity. Yeah, I mean, in every gaming jurisdiction in the world. I mean, we were at Regulating the Game conference in Sydney a couple of weeks ago. There was a session there that highlighted, similar sort of process being used in pubs and clubs around the country, where criminals will go in and basically not play and then cash out, and it looks like they've got winnings. So it's as you said, it's a tried and tested form of money laundering globally.
Anyway, it's just the story's just there to sort of warn people to be vigilant, and there's no advantage to the casino. I mean, of course they get the edge on the play and whatever, but the long-term possible downfall from it is, as we've seen in Australia. Okay, you want to take a bit of extra action and play? Yeah, good luck. The upside is far smaller than what the potential downside is. You want to lose your license. You don't want to do that. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Thought this was interesting in NagaCorp booming after a few bad years, difficult years. Good to see NagaCorp doing well.
Yeah, another company that was slow out of the blocks after COVID, faced a lot of headwinds. It had a pretty significant debt that came up in the middle of last year that they addressed through various means. Of course, NagaCorp has postponed until 2029 its Naga 3 expansion. It looks like it's also going to cut the size and scale of that by around half as well. It was going to be a $3 billion expansion. Looks like it might be closer to $1.5 billion.
That's a lot more sensible. That's much more sensible for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the climate, I think, in the junket era pre-COVID, it might have made sense, but these days perhaps not. So look, NagaCorp obviously, reaping the benefits of a few changes they've made. They spoke about smart tables and the impact of side bets as a result of that. And pretty good results for them for 2025.
Net profit up 56% for 310. What was the total revenue?
I'll have to look in the story, Andrew. I can't remember.
Let's have a look. Thank you very much. The second coffee's just arrived, courtesy of Qantas Lounge. It's very nice of them. And they've even brought it over for me, which was very nice. What was it? The total revenue? It's got to be in the story.
There we go. Where was it?
Really? 692. And they made a profit of 3 something. It's almost 50%. 300 on 700, I guess, right? So it's like in the 40s because the wages are so low there, I guess.
Well, they were speaking about their EBITDA margin of, 57%. Pretty impressive. Aided by the side bet, so it was quite a bit higher the margin here than previously. But they're really making a difference, these side bets, aren't they, to margins?
Aren't they? Yeah. I mean, the days of 3% on rolling are gone. People are starting to push towards 4%. It's, I wonder if the pendulum will swing back on that over time. If it hurts the players too much, I wonder. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Hasn't happened yet. Let's see. All right, let's move on to the next one. Well done to Naga in Cambodia. Good job. Thought thought this was good to see our friends at GLI becoming the first gaming test lab, getting iGaming accreditation for Padcore. Obviously, this is a new thing that Padcore brought in from March 31, is it? That you must have accreditation as a supplier, I think it is. And I think it's great that Padcore are doing it because they're really making sure that the PGO industry doesn't go the way of the POGO industry. I think they've learnt their lesson and they want to clean the industry up. And if the industry doesn't make as much as it could, but yet it's sustainable, that's the way to go.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we've written extensively about this topic. Padcore requiring all suppliers, anybody in that sphere, to be fully accredited, as you said, from 31st of March, Andrew. So we're very, very close to that date now. And I noticed our friends at Art and Consult, Tonette, mentioned on a social media post that she's helped GLI, the company has helped GLI through this process. They were very early movers, just like Light and Wonder were as well, and no doubt Aristocrat, early movers in the process. And they've got their accreditation, so they'll be all sweet and ready to go from 1st of April.
Well, right. Well, Light and Wonder were the first accredited iGaming supplier in the Philippines. GLI now the first accredited gaming lab. There's going to be a lot of firsts, I think, as the first one of each sector within the industry gets accredited. I wonder if we need to get accredited. Maybe we do. I have to ask them. We'll ask them at MAD. I'll ask them at MAD. I don't think our company will be the sort of one that they intend to capture by this. We're only a very small company. I think they more intend to capture direct suppliers of gaming goods, like slot machines or soft. Well, it wouldn't be slot machines; it'd be virtual slot machines. Game studio staff and things like that. Probably not us. But I'll ask Padcore that on April 14 at Macau, Manila After Dark, I should say. Hopefully not, because it's probably fees. Oh, hello, is that my flight? 1 second.
Good afternoon, members and guest passengers traveling on Qantas flight QF173.
No, it's not. Good, let's keep going.
Boarding is now commenced on this level.
You're flying Fiji, are you, Andrew?
I am. Oh, I'm a Fiji man now. I love it. No, it's great. Well, I've only done it once. This is the second time. This is the return flight of that leg. Yeah, so it's 5 hours to Nandi, 2 hour layover in that really nice, lovely lounge, and then, excuse me, and then 10 hours on to San Francisco, and then a domestic flight to San Diego for iGaming. Yeah. Okay, let's do this one. DigiPlus. Our friends at DigiPlus, they're sort of kicking butt, aren't they?
They've been very, very active recently. Of course, in the image there, you can see New Coast there in Manila. Of course, La Vie Resort and Casino. That will be where our Manila After Dark will be on the 14th of April, just a couple of weeks
and you can meet Ben there in the flesh.
We're going to have a massive crowd if you say that, Andrew. If we give the story away that I'll be there,
your fans will be queued up around La Vie, around the building.
Absolutely, no doubt. But I mean, this story again. Of course, DigiPlus are the leader in the Philippines iGaming or eGames segment. They are moving into the land-based as well for a bit of diversification through the acquisition of a controlling stake in the company that owns New Coast and La Vie, which is, of course, International Entertainment Corp, Hong Kong listed. And I think it's interesting because bringing in Brian Mattingly, former chair of Triple Eight, now Evoke, and Playtech. I mean, it sort of speaks to that whole iGaming expertise that they have.
Well, a big name in the industry, and Playtech's been a big name. Playtech was one of the first ever iGaming companies and suppliers, and look, it's great to see them doing that. And DigiPlus, all the pluses, DigiPlus, Arena Plus, Casino Plus, what else? There's a couple of others I've missed. Bingo Plus, yeah. They're all sort of connected in some ways. There's some common ownership, I think. I don't think they're exactly the same, but there's common ownership between them, and they really kind of are the leaders in this sector. The other companies that were in integrated resorts and then they've done the iGaming, it's not in their DNA. They've picked it up because it's got such a great revenue stream for them. But the Plus people, let's say DigiPlus, because that's the main one. It is in their DNA. These are iGaming people, so they probably have the jump on everyone. and it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. But of course, they've got the opposite problem in that now that they're moving into the land-based sector, that's not in their DNA. So they're going to have to, learn that. So quite interesting to compare and contrast DigiPlus being expert on the iGaming side and having to get their stuff together on land-based versus the Solaires and Newports of the world and Hans, Ustars even of the world that have got their land-based sorted out, but need to learn how to become iGaming companies. Quite an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just to clarify, of course, Bingo Plus, Arena Plus are directly under DigiPlus. Casino Plus is separate, but as you say, there's a bit of common ownership in there. So
thanks for clarifying that, because I didn't know. I always get confused by those plus companies.
There's a lot of pluses, but that's sort of how it all sits.
Well, quite a few of them are going to be at MAD, so I'm going to catch up with them and try and understand it a bit better. Anyway, let's move on to the next one.
Yep. Well, always difficult to see these headlines, Andrew. Of course, look, we've seen Hector come in as the incoming CEO of IGT. IGT was acquired by Apollo, as was Every, last year. So we've got a new look IGT under the new ownership.
I'm going to interrupt you. 6.25 billion, the exact same amount that they paid for Venetian. Yes. What if they buy IAG for 6.25 billion?
Well, hopefully I'll have a stake in IAG by that stage, Andrew. I'd be very happy to take it.
Oh, you'd get a cut, Ben. You'd get a cut. But anyway, let's go on to the story.
So you're saying that IAG is on sale for 6.25 billion? No problem. Yeah.
Look, I'll even special discount for anyone watching. Six will do it.
Right, 6 billion, no problem. Bargain. So yeah, say 10% of the global workforce. That's quite substantial, obviously. There was not a lot of detail around exactly whether that 10% will be largely focused on Vegas. Will it be evenly spread?
700 people?
Yes.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is. 700 people. A lot of people. So there's 7,000 down to 6,300 or 7,700 down to 7,000, roughly, something like that. And of course, this is what happens when private equity comes in, buys two companies, shoves them together. They find synergies, which is code for let's get rid of a bunch of people where there's double ups and get the one person to do both companies. I mean, there's a lot of that goes on, right? So,
yep.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of that kind of move, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, look, we've seen it before, and I'm sure we'll see it again.
Good afternoon, everyone. CGOA is 934 through to Andrews.
No, Andrews.
That is my flight. Early call, though. Early call. Let's keep going.
We'll get through the rest of the stories quickly, Oscar, so that Andrew can actually make his flight.
Thought this was interesting. I'll let you do this one, Ben.
Yeah, it's interesting, again, just because it's a little bit like the Marina Bay Sands when I spoke about at the start, which is, their news was just the process is moving along. I think this is another example. So RWS, Resorts World Sentosa, or Genting Singapore, the parent company, released its annual report. KT Lim, in his comments within the report, spoke about the fact that the expansion project, this is a US $5 billion expansion project, so also very substantial, is progressing on schedule, looking good. I mean, the other big thing about RWS is that they've had quite a few changes to their management team recently. Tan He Tech stepped aside. We've seen a number of changes there. Of course, Chen Si, our good friend, has come in recently as COO of Resorts World Sentosa. And, so KT Lim was speaking about the fact that A, the expansion project is coming along on schedule. B, yes, we've been underperforming a little bit over the past year or so, impacted by construction, everything that's been going on there, but very confident in the ability of the new lot management team to build collective rhythm and to get the property back on track.
Well, let's see, because I think a healthy competition between the two Singapore properties is good for both, and good for the industry. So at the moment, obviously Marina Bay Sands is winning that battle, and we'd like to see it be a little bit more even. And look, some of these ideas that they have, RWS 2.0, are great. And if they can pull them off and do a good job of them, we've been extremely supportive of that and great to see. So let's see how the new people there the new people there do. I'm planning on meeting them later in the year. All right, let's move on to the next one. Oscar, got to fly through what's left. Look, I just put this one in, Ben, to sort of say, why is Legend even a thing anymore? They don't have a casino.
It may not be for too much longer, Andrew. I mean, it's been many, many years of losses for Macau Legend. They've lost their satellite casino. They obviously held a management contract with SJM for Legend Palace. They don't have that anymore. There's not a whole lot of revenue flowing through. They've never really been successful in making anything of Macau Fisherman's Wharf. It's always been an interesting plot of land that has always had potential to be something, but what that can be, I don't know. Where would they get the funding to develop it into anything now? I don't know.
Yeah, and what would they develop it into? I mean, a great location. It's kind of squandered, really, and a bit of a white elephant, to be honest. So, look, I think we won't be following Macau Legend for too much longer, to be honest. Let's move on. What's next? Just quickly wanted to mention here, let's not make a big song and dance out of it, but we've already signed a strategic partnership agreement for regulating the game for next year. We only just had it a couple of weeks ago in 2026, but our March 2027 event is already signed, and you're going to be seeing more and more of this from IAG. Things announced and signed immediately after the previous event is done. That's kind of our MO now. And great little event by Paul, and I think you and I are both pleased to be part of it.
Yeah, the event's come along leaps and bounds. Great speakers, great content, and we'll be helping Paul promote that over the next year.
Yes, it won't be a late run thing. It'll be a year round thing. And to anybody else out there that are partners with us on various events, we are keen as mustard to sign agreements immediately after an event's finished for the next year. That's our kind of way of doing things now, because we're involved in so many things now that we need to let the readers isn't really the right word anymore, let our audience know what we're up to and what the agenda is, because they need to make their plans. And I know a lot of people use IAG as a way of planning out their events for the year. So, it was great to be able to sign this with Paul and get moving. Let's go straight to the next one. Thought this was interesting. Obviously, an Asian connection with Genting, Ben.
Yeah, so this CBRE report was actually very, very extensive and super interesting, actually, Andrew. I'm not sure if you received it. I'll send it to you to have a look at it. It's worth.
I got it.
Into. Yeah,
I got it. It was really interesting.
Yeah. So really gave a deep dive into everything you could think about these 3 full casino licensees that will be opening up over the coming years. Of course, Genting's Resorts World New York City already has the existing racino. They'll be adding table games, some of them as early as the middle of this year, and then progressively adding more as they expand out that resort. They're spending about $5 billion to expand that resort. And then, of course, you've got the Bally's project and the Hard Rock project as well, opening around 2031. So by the time everything is ramped up and everybody's open, CBRE said they could generate as much as $5.6 billion, possibly even with a little bit of upside to that. I mean, it's hard to tell this early out. But the interesting thing, of course, is that Genting's Resorts World New York City will have early mover advantage. They'll have about a 5-year head start as the only property in New York, downstate New York, to have table games.
Yeah, and interestingly, none in Manhattan, although the Bally's one is kind of up past Harlem, isn't it? But the one in Queens as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But who would have thought casino gaming in New York City eventually came to pass? Well, I assume it will. That the plans are on, but the way that the New York government ran the application process, I'll believe it when they actually open the doors. We'll announce that there's casino gaming in New York City. Of course, as you say, Genting already has a racino, but that's not exactly a casino with table games. All right, let's move on to the next one. Nope. Thought there's another story about DigiPlus. Thought this was just really interesting. I'll just quickly comment that I thought this was interesting because, again, a technical working group being put together to help draft new Philippines e-game legislation, obviously aiming for sustainability. Again, just highlighting once again that operators as well as Padcore are taking the view that, hey, we need to get this industry right. We need to get the regulations right. We don't want Pigo to go the way of Pogo and it just be a free-for-all cash grab for 3 years and then over. We want to make this a sustainable industry that can work within Philippine society. And that's great to see them working on this new legislation. And that's what it's all about. Let me just, they're calling again.
Good afternoon, members and guests. Passengers travelling on Qantas flight QF155, your service to Auckland. Boarding is now
Auckland, who would want to go there? Okay, let's move on to the next one. So apologies to any New Zealanders. I actually lived in Auckland for 3 years as a kid. Oh, well, there you go. That's done. Good. So I got to get going to the flight. So I'm off now to, as I just said before. Rich Horwood says that's undervaluing IAG at 6 billion. Well, he might be right. Perhaps he's got to buy it. In all seriousness, we're not interested in selling IAG. We're quite happy to run it. I'm off to San Diego for my first ever IGA, which will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. Obviously, then followed by Easter. Then I've got a bit of domestic travel in the US. I'll be in Vegas April 6, 7, 8, 9. So if there's anybody who wants to catch up with me in Las Vegas, April 6, 7, 8, or 9, please reach out. And then the 10th, I'll be flying to Manila, landing on the early morning of the 12th and then I'll catch up with you, Ben, on the 14th at MAD. And then I believe we're going up to Han, aren't we? We're going to go spend a few days up in Clark. You, me, and Jason, we're all going to go up there. And then over to Macau. I guess you'll go back to Sydney, and Jason and I'll hop back to Macau for MAD in Macau on August 21. So MAD in Manila at La Vie, the newest integrated resort in Manila. MAD in Macau at Aurora, at Altira, the gem of Taipa, for Melco. So and then after that it'll be G2E, and you'll be coming up for G2E, Ben.
Yeah, Andrew, heading down to Melbourne for the Aussie Millions, of course, at Crown.
I'll see you there. I'll be there as well.
Yeah, looking forward to that. It's going to be a great event, tracking very well. We've got a couple of articles coming out on that over the coming days, so keep an eye out for those. 10th of May, Aussie Millions finishes. 11th of May, flying to Macau. 12th of May, G2E. 13th of May, TIP. So plenty happening.
Yes. I mean, as I don't know if you said it before I came on, but Q1's the quietest quarter. But the last week of Q1, it happens every year. The last week of Q1, suddenly it starts getting busy. The last week of March, and I think we had 18 stories this week, so that evidenced the fact that it was a lot busier than the week before. I think we had 8 stories we talked about. So it's going to start getting busy from now through, and it just gets busier and busier. So I think the quiet time is quietly come to an end. And starting kind of immediately now, we start getting busy with our MADs and TIPs and G2E and IGA, and then it will just roll on through. But before you know it, it'll be time for IAG Expo in September. It'll be like a blink of an eye. So I think that's it from us, Ben. Anything more that you need to say?
No, I think that's it, Andrew. We've covered the week pretty extensively.
Great. Okay. Sorry about the little bit of a scrambly week this week with me being stuck in the car and racing off to catch this flight to America from Melbourne to San Diego from Melbourne via Nandi and San Francisco. And so I'm just about to jump on the plane now and have a great weekend. And we'll see you next Friday. Next Friday will be Good Friday. I don't know if we'll do one on that. Maybe we'll do one from IGA. I think we'll do one from IGA, and maybe I can catch up with you, and we'll figure that out. We'll advertise that on the breakfast briefing when the next one is. And of course, everyone can go to asgam.com/live now, our new redeveloped and relaunched page with the countdown to the next one. So if you're ever wondering when the next IAG Live is, just go to asgam.com/live and there'll be a countdown there to the next scheduled IAG Live. Sometimes we just do them randomly for breaking news, but that's rare. All right. Well, I think that's it from us. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Oscar. I know you're there in the background somewhere, Oscar. And thank you to you for watching IAG Live. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you sometime next week, probably from IGA in San Diego. That's it for us. Bye for now. See ya.